Okay, today we are speaking with Dr. Wang, Executive Director at the University of Hong Kong. With over 15 years of hands-on experience as co-founder and business builder, he has worked with hundreds of startups and helped shape the entire innovation ecosystem. So today I want to go beyond theory and really understand what actually works in practice. It's a pleasure to have you here, Dr. Wang.
Yes, thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so my first question is, you worked with hundreds of early stage startups when the marketer has no brand, no audience, limited resources, and very small budgets. What are 2 to 3 most effective ways you've seen founders get their first customers? Could you walk us through a real example?
Okay, so in the startup world, marketing usually means a little bit different than what you can see in the corporate world. So a lot of startups start with some just ideas. So they try to build a product, try to sell it, and the process for trying to sell them are usually a process of marketing. So it's combined with the sales or marketing. While in the corporate world, which I was in, a lot of times, particularly for the FMCG, fast-moving goods products, you see a lot of times the sales or marketing are actually divided into 2 teams, and they work together, but usually they also fight each other and for budgets and for the resources or whatever, and to try to get the sales done. And the linkage between the sales and marketing are a lot of times in these settings quite weak. Whereas in startup world, it's totally different story. It's basically marketing and sales go hand in hand very tightly from very early on, very beginning. So the most commonly seen practice in a lot of startups is that actually they build a product that will sell for themselves. Of course, that also depends on specific industries or specific market segments the startups' products are targeting. So I have seen quite a number of startups who are doing their own ways of getting their customers very early on. And the advice would always be to start for the startup to look for a customer before they even build a product. So that's the sequence. It's totally different from the corporate world. So I have seen cases like a startup which was building a warehouse robotic system. What they did was to go to the warehouse of one of the biggest logistic hubs in Beijing and stayed there for almost 1 month. They slept in the warehouse and observed the daily work of the warehouse workers day in, day out, or try to record down every single step that the workers have to perform to fulfill a delivery order. And then going there, understand the whole process, they build a system of the robotics. So that's a totally reversed process, right? And of course, by doing that, they build a product that will sell in very early beginning. So the fact was, after 3 years, because building robotic systems are quite complex and very difficult tasks, they went out of the stealth mode, during which they try to hide their work and they do not expose too much unless necessary. to some very few investors, and they announced the product, and that product sold very well, and they soon raised another round, and after another 3 years of sales and marketing, it became a unicorn. So that company was quite successful in blending this process of the sales or marketing with their product development in the very early on stage. So that's sort of very common. It's usually not used with a lot of advertising, a lot of budget. Early on, it's purely by building a product that the customer would want so badly. They would willing to pay even a down payment and to have pre-orders. That's the trick in the startup world.
Okay, so dig out the customer's needs before you really mix your products, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds very insightful. And my second question is, so marketing has evolved rapidly in the past few years. Everyone is talking about like social media, internet marketing, and now AI. So in your view, how should marketers actually use these tools effectively, not just like following trends?
Well, to my understanding, is really about going back to what marketing really is, right? We see marketing usually, well, be it 4Ps or 4Cs theories or integrated marketing theories. You usually see that's all about communication, right? Eventually, you're trying to deliver the message to the customer and persuade them to take actions one way or the other, right? So then all this changes were because of the dramatic technology change and all the market change happened in the past decades. And we have seen a shift as a manufacturer from the marketers or advertisers perspective because of this technology or the way people receive information have greatly changed. So that's the underlying reasons for all this change. So if it is a marketer, basically they need to really understand how their target customers receive information and then switch to the way that their customers are used to or are happy to receive those information. And also the credibility, the trustworthiness of this information should be customized towards their target segment. So that goes hand in hand with the current trend. Because in the old days, the mass media are usually the only way to reach your target customers individually. But nowadays, the new technologies enables us to really customize a single piece of information in the way that the receiver can decode them most effectively. So that's why the AI, the social media trend, media become so important. So I think goes to go back to who are your customers and how they are consuming those information and what's their lifestyles. Then you can formulate the right formula. And with the new tools, basically, you have a lot of interesting tools which were unimaginable in previous decades. So you can leverage on those new tools and to customize your message more effectively. And that's the good side of that. And also I think also this also gives the new marketers some kind of advantages because this customer insights are usually very difficult for AI to replace. And also you need the human touch in it. People can still tell whether a message is created by the AI or as really was human elements in it, right? So I think that's marketing has evolved, but still the old jobs remains the same, and just with new tools. That will be my take on this.
Okay, so you mentioned communication and information exchange. As a marketer, what do you think is a good example of good information, good communication with customer, or should I say, what do you think is the most important elements of good communication?
Yeah, one key elements these days for marketing or communication is that now it's more like bi-directional. So you need to give this message, and actually you really need to receive, and it becomes a communication process instead of just advertising or just one-way delivery of the messages. Of course, in some scenarios, we'll still try to do that, but eventually you want to create the opportunities of communication to build that channel of communication. And also that usually come with credibility and multiplying effect. And particularly nowadays, it's a lot of times it's publicity, particularly the social media publicity become more and more important because now that's everybody talk about some particular products or some company, then that product or company becomes quite popular, and that thing will eventually multiply itself. That momentum is sort of amazing. So I think it's just a few weeks ago there was interesting restaurant in Canton, which is famous only in the small town in the very beginning for the hot pot with chicken hot pot. And then one sort of equivalent YouTuber, which is a big Weibo blogger, visited that restaurant, and he just posted some interesting comments, and then suddenly, the particular point he captured was that the owner of the restaurant was actually not so keen in doing great businesses, and he was with some attitude, and then he posted it online and became very popular, and all these other people after seeing this post went to the restaurant, and that restaurant became so popular. It usually only served several hours a day. Now it works from very early morning, and people have to queue up for 4 hours to just to get a number, and they have to dismiss customers who queued up very early in the morning, so that they can serve the rest. So that phenomenon is actually more and more frequently these days, right?
Yeah.
It's also quite frequently seen in other products. So something sold out very easily. Well, just about 2 weeks ago, one of our scientist's invention. They hosted a press release, and that thing was sold out just within one day. And now they have to refill the production order very quickly. So those things, particularly these days, the publicity became something is more important than the traditional way of cooking the message or trying to get them across through multiple channels. These things is how you can really create the topic that the people will be interested in receive, and people will talk about that and spread those messages out. So I think that dramatically changed a lot of things, particularly with the AI algorithms nowadays and all those social media. It become more dominant than the traditional mass media channels. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always interesting to talk about the phenomena and cases happening in real world. It's like a little bit different than what we learned in class, and yeah. So to wrap things up, what are the most three important things marketers should focus on and start doing immediately now? What do you think?
Well, for me, it's number one is to really know your customer segment very well and know them as a person. It's not know them by, even you're doing a B2B business, you still need to really narrow down who are the decision makers, who are the influencers, who are the actual users, who eventually will comment on your products and spread those messages across the community. So those things are still very closely tied to human factors. So the customer centric is number one for any marketers. And the second thing is that to really understand how these messages were consumed or decoded by the receiver. The particular receivers, as I mentioned in the first point, that each role actually has a very different way of communicating, a different way of consuming information. If you're talking about B2B customer, it's usually the boss who decided, but actually somebody who proposed it, almost critical. And the technical experts may speak a total different language from his decision maker, who is the boss, usually general management. Right? You need to get those messages very easy, very very understandable for all these different audiences. So that's the second part. And the third part is to really understand the new, the hot spots or the trends in the technology, or actually the attention, how this messages can create attention. So those three things I think are still true, and regardless of which year you're in, and that they're generally still holds great value for any marketer in the world that can get their message across, help their company to sell more products or services. And so I think that's probably the three things that I have learned for the past many years.
Cool. Yeah, sounds great. So know your target audience, pay more attention on communication, and know the hotspots. Those are the three things the marketer should doing right now, immediately. Cool. So Dr. Wang, thank you for the honesty and the insight today. I think there's a lot of here that founders can actually apply. So really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your questions as well. Yeah, have a good day.
You too. Thank you.